So a lot of my videos have recently been focused on different tax laws that are coming up in beginning of January 2026. But we actually have some tax laws that are going to change in 2025. So let's talk about that. So my recent videos have really focused on changes that are going to happen to estate tax laws beginning January 1st, 2026. And before we even get there, we just had some recent updates from the Treasury about estate and gift taxes that are going to impact things in 2025. So we're going to talk about that today. Right now in 2024, an individual is able to pass during their lifetime, it's a wealth transfer tax during their entire life, just not upon death. So the estate tax is anything over $13.6 million in assets. So each individual is exempt from having to pay estate tax up to that threshold. Then anything over that exemption amount is going to be subject to estate tax. And it's a gradual increase, the rate is, and it gets to 40% very quickly. So most commentators, most practitioners will say it's 40% estate tax. That's not exactly right, but that's kind of usually what we say just for simplicity's purposes. So January 1st, 2026, the laws are scheduled to sunset back to old estate tax laws. And that's where a lot of people have been spending their time talking about, things that you should be considering as you consider your estate plan and trust planning and making sure that you're using your exemption amount, and be aware of the fact that it's going to go back down to old levels. So like I said, today it's 13.61 million. It's scheduled to go back down to $5.49 million in assets January 1st, 2026, unless, depending on who comes in, the president, the Oval Office might change these. They might extend them. They might let them lapse. But it's going to go back down to roughly $5.5 million. It will be indexed for inflation. So it'll probably be around $7 million. So right now it's almost at 14 million. Well, yeah, it's almost at 14 million. It's going to go back down to roughly 7 million. So as I said, this year it's 13.6 million. In the last few days, the last few weeks, the Treasury has actually said that they're going to increase this amount from 13.6 million to 13.99 million. It's not a huge increase, but it is increased. So each year they do index it for inflation. So in 2025, it's going to go up a decent amount from 13.6 million to 13.99 million. Don't know why they didn't just say 14 million, but we're getting closer to that 14 million. So married couples are allowed to combine their estate tax exemptions. So a couple could pass up to 28 million in 2025, free of any estate tax. Anything over that is going to be subject to estate tax. So this is one of the main points I want to drive home. One, there's tax law changes that are going to affect in 2025 as well as 2026. A lot of people have done their estate plan in the last few years, and maybe they've gifted assets to individuals or to trusts for purposes of reducing their estate tax. If you haven't done any gifting since then, you have the ability to gift more to take advantage of these increasing exemption amounts. So you want to make sure that in the next year you're tapping in and taking advantage of the fact that it's at 13.99 as opposed to when it was maybe 10 million or 11 million or 12 or around 13 million. So you still have some wiggle room if you haven't used all your exemption. So make sure in the next 12 to 14, 15 months, you're taking advantage of that and you're not missing this opportunity to further reduce your estate tax liability.